Welcome to Device Casting Couch Season 1, Episode 7. Today we'll be talking about Blizzard in hot water, VPN shenanigans, and for the love of cybersecurity, why the hell is anyone still using WhatsApp? I am Ryan, and joining me is John.
Straight from Chicago, you already know.
That's false.
Out here in Chirac, reporting live for the scene.
Stay strapped to get clapped.
All right.
All right. So I'm gonna start with the Blizzard article here. So for those that don't know, Blizzard is a game developer. They make games such as Diablo, World of Warcraft, among a bunch of other games. But this story is about their game Hearthstone. So Hearthstone is a card game, basically an online card game, and they had a national championship. And so at the championship, the winner, whose name is Chung Ning Wei, I think I pronounced that correctly, but I'm just going to refer to him as Blitzchung, which is his gamer tag. So he won the tournament, right? During his interview after the show, he basically said a slogan used by the Hong Kong protesters, because Hong Kong is protesting some new laws right now. And he said, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time." And he was wearing like goggles and a face mask, which is something commonly worn by protesters. And they Blizzard kind of freaked out, and they banned him from the championship for a year, and took away all his winnings, which is a couple $100,000. So the reason that he was supporting Hong Kong is currently Hong Kong, they tried to pass a controversial law, which would basically allow China to come into Hong Kong and extradite anyone they wanted to back to China to be charged for crimes. So obviously China is, a freaking socialist country, so that wouldn't be a good that wouldn't be a good law, because they'd basically just be able to cross the border and take like political prisoners or whatever, basically bring them back to China. So he was supporting Hong Kong's decision to riot against these laws, and Blizzard kind of freaked out. So the reason Blizzard freaked out is they're an American-based company, but they're very, very closely tied with China. They've been trying to break into the Chinese game market for years now. And obviously the Asian gaming market is a huge market if you can get that. So this was at the Asian Pacific Grand Masters tournament. So as I said, they banned him for 12 months. They took away his winnings. They said in a statement afterwards, "While we stand by one's right to express individual thoughts and opinions," the statement continued, "players and other participants that elect to participate in our esports competitions must abide by our official competition rules." So I looked up their actual rules, and they're not wrong. What they're referring to is page 12, section 6.1 of the Hearthstone Grandmasters official competition rules. And it says, "Engaging in any act that in Blizzard's sole discretion brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image will result in removal from the Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize total to 0. In addition to other remedies which may be provided for under the handbook of Blizzard's website, blah, blah, blah." So they're within their right to ban him, but obviously it was a little much. And a lot of people were saying that it was because of their close ties with China. They're not trying to offend China. So they basically thought, okay, since he's talking against China, we're just gonna freaking ban him, so no one does that ever again. They said on October 11th that China had no influence on their decision, but press F for doubt, because I don't believe that for a second. So basically, after this, people they did their own flipping out. They went on Twitter. They started slamming Blizzard for their decision. The hashtag boycott Blizzard was trending within like a day afterwards, including a bunch of employees of Blizzard. They just walked out from their job, and they also covered a bunch of signs at Blizzard headquarters that said like "Every voice matters" and "Think globally." They basically covered those up and just like went on strike. A bunch of people were upset about this. There were a couple senators that also sent a letter to Blizzard and also posted about it on Twitter, saying that this was unacceptable. Some of the senators include Ron Wyden, Tom Cotton from Arkansas, Mark Rubio, Ted Cruz. We've heard those names before. And there's a bunch.
Zodiac Killer?
Yeah, exactly. Um, he's not the Zodiac Killer. We do not condone that. Thank you. But yeah, so a bunch of people were talking out about this. Even the CEO of Epic Games, what's his name? Tim Sweeney, I believe. He came out and basically said that this would never happen if he was in charge and blah, blah, blah. A lot of people were extremely upset about this. So just to give you a little background, the Chinese video game market, the reason that people are saying that they did this, the Chinese game market is worth $36.5 billion. So it's a lot of, I can see what Blizzard, I can see their reasoning behind what they did. Because that's a lot of net worth to be protecting. So it's second only to the U.S. as of June 2019. So according to a report from researcher firm Newzoo, the country is expected to reach $75 billion by 2024. So they're trying to get their foot in the door. Blizzard's trying to get their foot in the door and kind of keep the status quo with China, because as we know, China just kind of bans everything that they don't like. So if Blizzard hadn't done anything, China may have there may have been some repercussions for that. So Blizzard is a subsidy of Activision, and as most people know, Activision made all the Call of Duty games and stuff like that. So Asia is 12% of Activision's revenues, and that equals about $800 million. Activision Blizzard they're already working with a bunch of Chinese companies, to include NetEase and Tencent Games, which is two of Chinese biggest game developing companies. So they've been pandering to China for a while. I know a lot of people were upset that they made mobile versions of a couple of their games, and basically the only reasoning that they gave was that China wanted a mobile game, so they just developed a whole app for it, even though their fan base didn't really want it. As I said, people were flipping out over this. So Blizzard eventually apologized for it. They came out with a public apology several days later, and said that Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment about a month ago, and we did not. We moved too quickly with our decision making, and then to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk with all of you. When I think about what I was most unhappy about, it's really two things. The first one is we didn't live up to your high standards we set for ourselves, and the second is that we failed in our purpose, and for that I am sorry and accept accountability. So I guess it wasn't a couple days, this was a month afterwards. In my opinion, they only even apologized because so many people flipped out about this. They also fired the two newscasters that were interviewing the guy, the Blitzchung, for whatever reason, I guess affiliation or whatever. So they went way overboard, in a lot of people's opinions, and I definitely agree. Since the controversy and the timing of the situation was also really bad for Blizzard. They were starting to do they were set to do a ton of events. On October 15th, they were supposed to do the Overwatch coming to Nintendo Switch, like that whole conference. That was canceled because so many people were boycotting them. World of Warcraft 15th anniversary event was supposed to be in Taiwan. The event will be rescheduled for a later time. No reason was given for the postponement, but I think we can assume that it was because of the backlash. They did apologize, as I said, and they also reduced his ban to 6 months, gave back his earnings for the competition. And they also, I guess, unfired the casters. I don't know if they're actually gonna be at the next Hearthstone competition. I guess they tweeted out immediately afterwards and said that they had been told that they would not be attending, but that was before they said that they unbanned them from future competitions. It's a little a little crazy. They weren't the only ones that came under fire, though. I guess Google removed a bunch of negative comments that were being made on a bunch of Blizzard games, because after the incident, a bunch of people went to these games and just started review bombing them, which basically you give them 1 star and you either don't give a reasoning or you give like this, saying, oh, I'm giving 1 star not because of the game but because of this of the decision that you made. So Apple also removed a app in their app store that was used by protesters to kind of for planning and stuff like that. But I guess the Hong Kong police called Google or contacted Google and said, hey, there's people using this app to target police movement. And they said, we need you to take down this app out of the app store so that they can't do that. So Apple immediately took it down, and Apple said that was their decision. They said their decision was not easy, but technology can be used for good or for ill, which I call BS on, because as far as I know, the Telegram app is still available on every app store that I was able to check, and Telegram is widely known as being used to plan terrorist attacks. The St. Petersburg terrorist attack, that was planned on Telegram. And that's still readily available, but because, some Asian country called this US-based company and said, hey, can you take this down? We don't like that. And they immediately complied. So I call BS on that one. I don't think that was a super hard decision for them to make. But yeah, the Google reportedly removed a mobile game as well from the Play Store that let players role play as a protester in Hong Kong. The game, The Revolution of Our Times, was taken down after they were also contacted and said, hey, can you take this game down? We don't appreciate that. The NBA was also tangled up in the controversy. Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey on October 4th tweeted, he later deleted the tweet, but it said he basically expressed his support for the protests, and I guess he came under fire for that as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. And I think it sums it up well. The Senator Ron Wyden, who was one of the people who signed the letter to Blizzard, he sent out a tweet saying no American company should censor calls for freedom to make a quick buck. And I definitely agree with that. I understand what they're doing. They're trying to protect their bottom line. And at the end of the day, every company is going to do that. I know we talk about, Facebook and Google and how they, steal data from kids and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they're going to do what makes them money, unfortunately. I mean, you can run a business ethically, I think anyways. I don't think you have to do this. But I understand the decisions they made. But again, I don't agree with this. I think it's super shady. And they didn't really they didn't really take responsibility for anything. Again, they still maintain that China had nothing to do with their decision. I don't agree with that. I think that's pretty BS, but that's my opinion anyways. What do you think, John?
What was that it said? All voices matter or something like that?
Yeah, they said, yeah, I guess they had a bunch of signs in their headquarters that said "Think globally" and "Every voice matters" in the Blizzard headquarters. And October 8th, employees began covering up the company signs that had these slogans on them because they were also upset about what Blizzard had done. But yeah, I think that's a little much, in my opinion. And I definitely agree. I don't think companies should be pandering to these countries just because, regardless of politics, just because they don't want to upset them and hurt their bottom line. But that's my opinion.
No, I agree. I get that these senators are reaching out and everything, but it's not like it's a government censoring it. It's a company. It's kind of like we've seen this with Facebook and everything. They'll take down stuff they don't deem as worthy for their platform. And
yeah, and as I said, I totally understand why these companies followed through. I mean, they had the right to, because you agree to the terms and conditions when you play the game. And even Blitzchung even said, he put out a tweet saying that he's not mad at Blizzard for following through with what they're allowed to do. He just thought it was a little harsh, and he was concerned about the motivations behind it. Obviously, as I said, Blizzard continues to say that it was nothing to do with China, blah, blah, blah. They were just following the rules, just enforcing the rules.
Wasn't there a company they offered Blitzchung to come play their game and give all the winnings?
Yes. So let me see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, so it was a rival card game called Gods Unchained. I'm not sure what company makes this, but they tweeted out and showed support for Blitzchung and said that they would pay him all his lost winnings, which again is a lot of money, and they would give him a free invite to their $500,000 tournament on their card game. So, and Blitzchung, he said that he probably won't do another competition with Blizzard just because of this controversy. Just because he doesn't agree with it. Obviously, that's totally within his rights. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny that a whole nother company was like, oh, we can, let's put our name out there and see if we can get some bigger names into our competition.
Yeah, they're trying to slide in real smooth.
Exactly, yeah. Sending him a DM like, hey, you can come over here. You don't have to play Hearthstone and be degraded. But yeah, I thought that was thought that was a pretty good story. I did not know there was so much politics behind this. When I was first researching this story, I was like, oh yeah, we'll talk about this. This is a current thing that's going on. It's pretty interesting. And then there was this whole other freaking politics behind this, but I thought it was pretty interesting. So,
Yeah, so I'm just gonna roll right in and start talking about my VPN shenanigans, if that's all right.
oh yeah,
And so, in particular, it's mainly about one of the leaders in the VPN space, NordVPN. You've probably heard of them. They do a lot of marketing, especially on YouTube and stuff like
oh
that.
yeah,
But basically, what happened was one of their servers were compromised, and this all started. Security researcher on Twitter. It didn't disclose which one. They just said NordVPN was compromised at some point, alleging that unknown attackers stole private encryption keys used to protect VPN traffic that was routed through the server. And then all this stuff started to come out, and they found out that this server was hosted in a Finland-based data center, and when it was unauthorizedly accessed on March 2018. So this is a little bit ago,
yeah,
and it took this long for it to come out. So the company revealed the unknown attacker gained access through a remote management system. It's called IPMI. It stands for the Intelligent Platform Management Interface,
okay,
and it's just a thing they use for like managing servers and stuff like that. But NordVPN was unaware that this was on their system in the first place because apparently they would have not have allowed that.
mm-hmm.
But from this unauthorized access, no user activity logs or credentials were intercepted or anything like that. It was just the encryption key that we'll talk about in just a little bit. So they stole 3 TLS encryption keys that are responsible for encrypting and protecting VPN users' traffic that's routed through the server. And the thing was, when this first came out, NordVPN, they actually tried to downplay the security incident, quoting that the stolen encryption keys were expired. But then the Hacker News, they approached the company and they admitted that the keys were valid at the time of the breach and expired in October 2018, so almost 7 months after the breach.
Oh wow,
So if the attackers had these keys, they could then intercept the traffic and unencrypt it. And basically, it's not a huge security risk, but they would. It's like not using a VPN at all. They could be able
yeah,
to see everything your normal ISP would be able to see.
yeah. You'd be paying
Um,
for nothing basically.
Exactly. And then so that would allow them like to capture unencrypted data if you weren't using HTTPS, or they could see at least the DNS lookups, so they could kind of track where you're going. That's the real thing is like all these VPNs are targeted about keep yourself private, keep your information secure,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
If I heard you correctly, there was no authentication on these servers.
Oh no, there was authentication on them, but this
Okay.
is they went through the IPMI, the remote management system that was insecure, and these attackers gained
Oh,
that.
okay. So they hopped from the system to the server.
Yeah, because IPMI it's used to
Okay.
interface with the computer subsystem
Mm-hmm.
independently from the like CPU and the BIOS and all that.
Okay. So they hacked into a system that was connected to the server.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So kind of like the Capital One thing.
Yeah, kind of. It's a little different. So after discovering this NordVPN, they immediately terminated the contract with the Finland-based data center, and they shredded all the servers that they were renting from them. And then they started doing a bunch of audits and security stuff. I'll talk about that in a little bit later. We'll kind of delve into that a little bit more. But so some of the interesting stuff, I was doing the research. There was a couple other VPN services that had a similar security incident around the same time of year. So this includes TorGuard and Viking VPN.
Mm.
So there was a single TorGuard server that was compromised, and they removed it from their network in early 2018. And they also terminated the business with a hosting reseller. They didn't say if it was the same data center,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure about that. But then this is where it gets interesting. TorGuard and NordVPN apparently have some beef. They filed a legal complaint against NordVPN on June 27, 2019, blaming it for the breach. The company refused to provide details about the specific hosting reseller or how the attacker gained access. So, the strange saga around NordVPN and TorGuard. TorGuard brought the court case against NordVPN, alleging that NordVPN tried to blackmail the company by raising security issues. TorGuard alleges that NordVPN carried out a DDoS attack against TorGuard services, presumably as a form of retribution for not paying the blackmail or as a warning that worse could happen later. So this is where it gets interesting because I'm like, wait, what is going on with
Oh
NordVPN?
no.
You know, like they're seen as a leader in this kind of VPN space. They have
Oh
a
yeah.
huge advertising thing with YouTube, like content creators.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
like
everywhere.
I know PewDiePie, Philip DeFranco, King of Random, Jay's Two Cents. Like a lot of these large YouTubers,
Yeah, and
like are
dozens of podcasters I've heard as
sponsored by
well.
them. Exactly. Another thing related to NordVPN, because once this hack came out, a lot of other stuff came out as well.
Hmm.
There's this thing called credential stuffing. It's not really a vulnerability, but basically what happens is information from other leaks from other websites and services, which have their IDs, like user IDs and plain text passwords. They were going through them and found out that over 2,000 users, NordVPN, have the same credentials, and that's what credential stuffing is about. They just use the same stuff from one leak and try it on different services.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
So Ars Technica, they published a report and they went through 753 credentials on the list and found that all of them worked except for one. Um,
Oh
and
no.
obviously, this isn't a breach on NordVPN. This is more like a failure on a user's part.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they
yeah.
were criticizing NordVPN of going through these lists because apparently services like Facebook and Google, they sift through these credential lists that are on
Hmm.
public sites in the dark web.
Yeah.
And when they find like a credential that matches, they usually notify the user and require them to reset their password and stuff like that.
Okay, so so Torgard basically says that NordVPN tried to strong arm them to what? Pay them money?
Um,
They said they
so like,
blackmailed them.
yeah. Uh, so Torgard was accusing NordVPN of hacking them, from my understanding.
Okay.
Um, and then they said that NordVPN was blackmailing them, and then that they DDoSed them because they didn't pay the ransom.
Okay. This is like a okay. All right. So basically, they went over and broke their kneecaps for not paying the protection money. Is what you're saying?
You could kind of word it like that, I guess, but
Goodness
it starts
gracious.
raising some like ethical issues about
Yeah.
NordVPN. I'm like, why is there this beef? Like,
Goodness
it
gracious.
is very interesting. I didn't knew all this happened until I started researching the initial hack.
Wow.
NordVPN, they're going through all their stuff and they're doing a lot of security stuff in spite of this because they're trying to like make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
so they're hiring a cybersecurity consulting firm called Verisprite, which is going to perform penetration testing on NordVPN's infrastructure to discover any vulnerabilities and weaknesses.
Wow.
They're also introducing a bug bounty program so that independent security researchers can discover vulnerabilities and report them to NordVPN
Hmm.
for some kind of reward. They haven't said if it's going to be a self-managed program or if it's going to use a company like HackerOne, but it's
Okay.
definitely in the works. They said they're going to do a full-scale third-party security audit of their infrastructure, VPN software, backend, hardware, source, and internal procedures. They did not say who was performing the audit either, so kind of makes me wonder.
Yeah.
Um,
If they're just having Bob from IT come over and change all the passwords or something. Like, yep,
um,
we did an audit. We didn't find
they,
anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'll talk about that more in a second. They also plan on co-locating their dedicated servers that they exclusively own, so that way they
Mm.
will no longer rent servers from third-party hosting companies. That way they don't have to worry about if there is an attached like a remote management system that they don't know about.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and the fifth and final thing they said is they're going to upgrade their entire infrastructure of 5,100 servers to what's called a RAM server. And this is the first time I heard about this. I had to look into it, but apparently it's going to host all the operating system and everything in RAM. That way, like if you tried to access it, they're going to implement it. So if you try to access SSH, it makes
Mm.
the server restart, therefore wiping everything that was in the RAM.
Okay. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, RAM, like, that you have in your computer and stuff like that, it's only volatile memory. It doesn't store anything unless it's active. As soon as you take the power away, well, some types of RAM, but the type of RAM that they're going to be using, once you take the power away from it, it completely stops. It doesn't keep anything inside of it. It destroys all data. That it wipes everything that was on the RAM. So that's kind of a really smart solution to that.
It is smart. It was the first time I heard about it, and I was like, I wonder why more people don't do this,
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either. Yeah, no, that would definitely be something interesting to see if more companies follow suit with that, because that's kind of a fail-proof way. You're not just trying to protect, with software and stuff. It's an actual hardware obstruction to any sort of hacking. No, that's really smart. But yeah, before we actually find out what's actually happening with NordVPN, though, I would suggest staying away from them if you don't have them already.
Yeah, and one of the things you could do is just, like I said, with the credential stuffing,
Hmm.
these leaks are circulating around. There's at least 10 lists out there. But one thing you could do is there's this notification service called Have I Been Pwned? And you can actually put your email in and sign up for notifications. It's completely free. And they'll tell you, like, hey, this list came out. And they notify you, like, this service has been compromised. We recommend you changing your passwords. And if you did use the same one on other services, changing your passwords as well.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um,
Yeah, we'll put a link for that in the show notes.
But a lot of scrutiny has kind of come to NordVPN. Is like they put all this time in marketing and everything, and then they wait for this big hack to apparently overhaul all their cybersecurity stuff. But
Yeah,
then they don't say like who the third party security audit's been. And this thing has happened. Like I said, what back in March 2018. It's been at least over. Uh, well, now it's over like a year now, almost.
yeah.
Well, what 9 months I think, right?
Hmm.
And so like it's weird that like it took this long for it to come out and they don't still don't have like a solid solution, all this stuff like that. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people are like stepping away from them. Like I know Jay's 2 cents is like I'm not going to recommend them anymore. Like
Hmm.
what they're doing is kind of shady, and then especially when we hear about this tour guard stuff that's going on,
Yeah.
uh, it's
I,
just crazy.
to me, it seems like they got hacked. They tried to just kind of fix it internally, as best they could without actually showing their hand. And then they were kind of called out on it. And they were like, oh, yeah, we were hacked, but, it's all good now. We're doing an audit and we're changing this and we're changing that. Like, don't even worry about it. That was so long ago. Like, I don't know. That seems really, really disingenuous of them to all of a sudden turn around and be like, "Oh yeah, that thing happened, but we didn't tell anyone because we already fixed it. It's okay."
And like they said, like they have a reason. Like I don't think they should have downplayed it, but like it
Hmm.
wasn't that big of a deal. As like I said, no passwords were stolen. Just people would be able to intercept your traffic,
I mean,
and it was only one server in Finland. So
yeah, but still, I mean, that's you're paying for a service that you're not getting for that time period, basically.
hmm
Um, I mean, if I was, paying like $100 or whatever for a VPN a year, and like all their their encryption keys got stolen, and basically I'm paying for what, to click a button and say I'm connected. I mean, obviously you can click to a different server, but they probably should have came out with that originally and said, hey, just don't use this server. That probably would have been fine.
so apparently the blackmail they were doing, NordVPN had trade secrets from Torguard.
Oh, okay. So allegedly, obviously they're going to court for this, so we don't know yet.
hmm
But allegedly, NordVPN knew some proprietary information on Torguard and basically said, "We're going to leak this if whatever it is, if you don't pay money or you don't, give us your market shares or
And
whatever
then
the case
apparently
may
they
be."
DDoSed them too.
Yeah, and
So
then Torguard was like, "No," and they're like, "Oh."
I'll fucking do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that seems very shady. I know we said in the previous episode we would want to be sponsored, but with them, but
Yeah. We will not accept any sponsorship deals from NordVPN.
not at this
We
time,
don't want to get DDoSed.
because allegedly you're trash. Oh goodness,
There's some
that's.
more about it. Apparently, some user on 8chan claims to be behind the hack,
Hmm.
but there's not much to it, and just as like some vague posts and whatnot.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust a whole lot that comes out of 8chan. I mean, there's been some funny stuff, but as far as trustworthy, I don't know about that.
We can talk about my Adobe story as well.
Oh yeah.
So, Adobe, as you all know, they're the amazing people that make your super insecure Flash. So, you know, if you're playing your little Flash games and all that stuff. But they also make a lot of other software like Acrobat Reader for reading PDFs. But they,
Hmm.
in their Creative Cloud suite, which has like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, After Effects, all these like design programs for graphics.
Hmm.
So what happened was is they had an unsecured server that exposed 7.5 million Creative Cloud users' information.
Oof.
And this was discovered by security researcher Bob Dianchenko. I'm probably not saying his last name right, but we'll just say Bob, you
Yeah.
know, and he collaborated with the cybersecurity firm Comparitech to uncover and undecure Elasticsearch database belonging to Adobe Creative Cloud subscription
Jeez.
service. So there wasn't any password or any authentication on this server. So apparently it was just out there and anyone could access it.
Oh no.
And of the information that was on there was stuff like email addresses, account creation date, what products they were using from Adobe, their
Mhm.
subscription status, their payment status, member ID, country, the last time they logged in, and if they're an Adobe employee or not. Um,
Wow.
so it doesn't have any password or financial information like credit
Mhm.
cards or anything like that. But with this information, you could totally do a very highly targeted and super convincing phishing attack. With that, make sure you're not clicking on any emails that say they're from Adobe and actually go to the Adobe website or call them up to verify that what you're receiving is real.
Yeah, I know we've brought this up before, but yeah, if you get any kind of fishy emails or whatever from your financial institution or I mean really anyone, because these phishing attacks and scam calling and stuff is getting a lot more sophisticated and a lot more convincing, especially if they've already hacked something that you had your info on. So definitely don't click on any links or reply to any emails or give any information. I know everyone hears that all the time, but when you're in the scenario, you might kind of freak out and not remember that. Just call the company or reach out to the official website and ask if this is actually legit, if it's asking you to give over any information or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. So Bob, he immediately notified Adobe on October 19th.
Bobby.
Bobby.
It's their sister company.
Oh,
It's even less secure.
hey, let's not talk about that now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So Adobe was actually really good. They immediately shut off access to the server and were on the same day that they were notified, and they published a blog post of everything that happened. It was unknown if anyone else besides Bob and the security company accessed the server. They just wanted to make sure everyone was aware to like change your passwords to be on the safe side and make sure like not to respond to any fishy emails if you do get them. Adobe was also quick to notify everyone that they have their two-factor authentication and they recommend users turning that on for an
Mm.
additional layer of security, and that just to be on the safe side to check any just view your credit card statements and stuff just to make sure there's no unusual activity. Even though none of that was stolen, they just
Yeah.
were covering all the bases. And
Yeah, for that two factor authentication.
what was that?
The two- I don't know what's wrong with us today, but two-factor authentication is a little Freudian slip. It definitely used that. I know we brought this up with the Google Nest thing, where Google said it wasn't their issue that users should be turning on two-factor authentication, regardless of whether companies should just make this a mandatory thing or not. If you can, turn that on. What that does for you is it basically, with two-factor authentication, you have to know something, you have to have something. So the knowing is the password you put in, and then having something is like your cell phone or the Google Authenticator app. Any of those things will be perfect for two-factor authentication. It'll make things much harder for someone to actually hack into your accounts. So I'm going to go into one of my stories here. So NSO makes a spyware. NSO is a company in the Middle East. They make a spyware called Pegasus. They sell this spyware to basically, they say they only sell it to governments around the world. Basically, it's used, they claim, it's used only for investigations, law enforcement investigations. It's used to spot terrorist activity, stuff like that. So they say we're the good guys, we're the white hats. However, there was a recent vulnerability found in WhatsApp, which again, please do not use WhatsApp. Another reason. They basically found out that it was Pegasus that was exploiting this vulnerability in WhatsApp. So a bunch of senior government officials in multiple U.S. allied countries were targeted earlier this year with a hacking software that use the WhatsApp to take over the user's phone. Basically, they could open up your location, they could open up your contacts, your calendar, and anything on your phone they had access to. So sources familiar with WhatsApp internal investigation into the breach said a significant portion of the known victims were high-profile government and military officials spread across at least 20 countries in 5 different continents. And as I said before, many of the nations were U.S. allies, so this probably wasn't the U.S. So WhatsApp actually filed a lawsuit on Tuesday against the hacking tool developer NSO Group. The Facebook-owned software giant alleges that NSO Group built and sold a hacking platform that exploited the flaw in WhatsApp-owned servers to help clients hack into the cell phones of at least 1,400 users between April and May of 2019. So while it's still unclear who used the software to hack the officials, they're still finding that out. NSO has said it sells its spyware exclusively to government customers, which I'll get into in a bit. But so John Scott Railton, a senior researcher at Citizen Lab, said it's not surprising that foreign officials would be targeted as well. He said it is an open secret that many technologies branded for law enforcement investigations are used for state-on-state political espionage. You have this guy at Citizen Lab basically saying everyone involved in this, it's a known secret that this stuff is not just used for, stopping terrorist activity and helping human trafficking victims and stuff like that. Like this is used to exploit basically anyone the customer wants. So prior to notifying victims, WhatsApp checked a large list against existing law enforcement requests for information related to crime investigations, but the company found no overlap. So basically, WhatsApp looked at their requests that they already had for law enforcement requests for information and stuff like that to see if this was part of an ongoing investigation or something like that. And they didn't find anything. So they're pretty adamant that this was not part of any investigation. This was not part of anything official. This was just a blatant hack onto to U.S. allied countries. As I said before, the NSO Group says that they're the good guys and they only sell to good governments and stuff who want to help their people. But Pegasus is also sold to like Saudi Arabia, which has a pretty poor record for human rights, as well as the United Arab Emirates, Mexico, Ghana, and several other countries that have kind of shaky reputations. So Amri Levy, which is one of NSO's co-founders, I guess in 2017, he said, he also said we have no way to know what people do with our systems. So he said, we just sell it, that's it. We have nothing beyond that. We just have a contract with them that says, hey, you can use our software. So again, they're trying to kind of deflect away from being seen as the bad guys. The problem with that is some people said that Pegasus, well, not some people, it was alleged that Pegasus was used by Saudi Arabia to target it's alleged that Saudi Arabia, which has been reported to be an NSO customer, as I said before, they came under fire last year for killing a former Washington Post journalist, Jamal Khashoggi. After Khashoggi's death, news reports revealed that his close circle of friends said he was targeted by NSO. So after public pressure and stuff like that, NSO said, oh, no, our software wasn't used to kill Khashoggi, which is weird because they state that they have nothing to do with their software after they sell it to a company. So how do they have any sort of definitive proof that it wasn't used against him unless they are involved? So to further back this up, again, that was alleged, but to further back this up, there were screenshots released or leaked, I guess, that showed the software in working. As I said, you can I'll put this in all the show notes as well, but you can see location tracking, calendar monitoring, so they know where people are going to be, when they're going to be there. And also a screenshot was leaked of the tier support system, so basically how much you pay, the type of support that you'll get from NSO. And the last tier support, so if you pay enough money, tier support 4 says technical support level that is provided by an R&D engineer. Support activities at this level should include design level consultation and solutions, software diagnostics, a high level of software and hardware fixes and solutions, blah, blah, blah. So it goes down the list. So basically, you're paired with an engineer from NSO that just walks you through how to use the software. So they basically hack for you if you don't know how to use it. If you pay enough money, they just show you how to use it and how to hack someone. Apparently, there's just there's an input that you can put in that basically you just put in the person's name, like their IP address, some other information about your target, and the NSO software. And apparently, if you pay enough, the engineer will just hack the person for you. So it's super, super shady. Again, another reason not to use WhatsApp. It's trash. We'll see. I know Mark Zuckerberg came out at the last F8, as we mentioned in a previous podcast, and said that he was, he wanted to further secure his platforms and stuff like that. So we'll see how well they do that with WhatsApp. But right now, just use Signal or use anything else because WhatsApp is trash. It's not good. Don't use it. It's super unsecure. I mean, yeah, just don't use WhatsApp.
Yeah, for real. Use Signal. I wouldn't say use anything else now because Facebook Messenger isn't great either.
No, I'm saying for something that claims to be, secure.
Oh yeah.
There's so many other good apps like Signal. I use Signal on a daily basis, and I don't know. I've never had any issues with it. As far as I know, they've never been hacked. There's been some bugs and stuff with Signal, but they've immediately fixed it, and they came out publicly and said that they had a bug. So they've been very upfront, and yeah, they're just use Signal. Don't use WhatsApp.
How many times have WhatsApp been hacked? About 4 or 5, something like that.
I lost count. It's like every year there's another hack for WhatsApp. I mean, oh my goodness, they're just so unsecure, and yeah, it's not a secure messaging platform basically at this point, anyways.
And on to our next story, we're going to talk about the Pirate Bay, our good old trusty, faithful, torrenting website where you can get all the illegal goods and services that you want. Well, not really services, but
we do not condone illegal activity on the internet.
Yeah, please don't blame me for anything you do.
Yeah, we are not responsible.
Anyway, if you've been trying to go to the Pirate Bay for like the past several weeks, you might have been greeted with this Cloudflare error mentioning a bad gateway and that you should come back in about 10 minutes and it'll be resolved. But you come back and it still isn't resolved, and you're like, what the hell? What's going on? So apparently they were being DDoS, but not like in a typical way. They were using, it's a different kind of DDoS that isn't related to like how many packets or like bandwidth being used. Because as we mentioned, they were using Cloudflare because they've had issues like that in the past. But the search engine that they use on the Pirate Bay is called Sphinx, and it's this open source full text search engine. And how the DDoS was working, it was sending these malcrafted, malformed searches, which caused the search statement to crash and would ultimately just bring the website down. So this has been resolved. The Pirate Bay has updated to a newer version of the Sphinx search engine, which has resolved the issue, and now it's back up. I know I was able to access it the other day, and if you're trying to get all your illegal movies and everything, go for it. It's back up and running.
I mean, yeah. When I've tested my internet connection, I'll try Pirate Bay, just to test my internet connection. And yeah, I've definitely got
test it, huh?
Yeah. No, yeah, just to test my internet connection. And I know I've definitely gotten that that error before. Well, that's good to hear that it was back up. I didn't know it was part of a freaking attack though. Do they know who was behind it?
No, they do not know who is behind it, unfortunately. They just said it was like some unknown malicious actor. So.
Oh, okay.
It is funny though. The Pirate Bay, they're always doing something crazy. Like they were making a joke. I think it was April Fool's a couple years ago. They like routed their traffic through a North Korean IP address.
Oh yeah.
They were making all kinds of jokes like Kim Jong-il has graciously accepted our movement, and we're gonna go through all this. They actually changed the icon on the Pirate Bay. They had to have like a North Korean flag.
Yes, I remember hearing about that. I don't know if they still have it, but they had. You can look it up as well. It's probably on some other site, but I know they used to have on their homepage there was a button where you could go to all their replies to their cease and desist letters, basically from like U.S. companies and stuff like that, saying, "Hey, you can't, you need to remove these files immediately," and they were basically just like, "Oh." we're not based in the U.S. We don't have to do what you say. Like, you can go screw yourself. It's basically their response, but it was worded pretty sarcastically. It was pretty funny, some of their responses. But if you want a good laugh, definitely look those up.
Yeah, they were like, we found a new source of refuge in the Hermit Kingdom, North Korea.
Oh no.
Um, where else is the other quote? We would like to thank Kim Jong Il for the opportunity, and we would like all of our users to review their current feelings toward this great nation. They wrote.
Oh no.
So I think the Pirate Bay, man, it's just they're real funny. Like you don't have to agree with what they do. It's just some of the stuff they do, like technologically, is pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. They always remind me of like, the early internet personas, like all the the hacks that would happen early. It was so much more. There was so much more like flair and a persona behind these companies. I don't know. I just think it's hilarious. There was so much more like showmanship because everyone was just like when the internet first came out, everyone was just having fun. Like it was it was a new like it was a whole new landscape. People were just enjoying themselves. Now everyone's getting hacked left and right, but trying to cover things up and
Yeah, and they don't even tell us who it is. At least with anonymous, you'd be like, oh, they hacked the Westboro Baptist Church. Awesome. Like,
bet. Oh my goodness. Well, I have a smaller story here. It kind of relates to tech. Okay, it relates to tech at like the end, but I thought it was hilarious and I thought I would share it. So there's this guy in Iceland. I can't pronounce his name. I'm not going to try. There's lots of dots and squiggles above his name, so I'm not going to try that one. They, basically, so the last McDonald's closed in Iceland in 2009, right? October 31st. So this guy, he bought the last McDonald's hamburger in the country. And it had always kind of been like a joke. McDonald's food wasn't actually made of food. It was just like plastic or whatever. And it would never, it wouldn't mold. It doesn't go bad. So he thought that was pretty hilarious. So he just kept the last burger and fries that he ordered. He just kept it in a bag for 3 years. And it didn't go bad. So he donated it to a museum, the National Museum of Iceland. And they kept it for a while. It says after some years. But after that time, the museum basically sent it back to him and said, hey, we're not really sure how to preserve this hamburger. So we're not going to keep this. So this is back with you, which he thought was hilarious as well because he said, he said, quote, I think he was wrong because this hamburger preserves itself. So he just keeps it at his little bed and breakfast in the lounge of his guest house, apparently in like a little glass case. And you can look at this. He has a live stream, a 24/7 live stream of this burger and fries in a little glass case with a little light shining on it. I'm watching it right now, and it's just a little like the paper's all faded. Like you can't even read the wrapper anymore, but the burger's still fine. He doesn't preserve it at all. It's just there. Oh, and I guess another reason the museum gave it back was people were eating the fries.
what?
They were walking by and eating the fries
Oh,
because apparently they just kept it in like this little glass case, and people were just like opening it up and eating the fries. So so they gave it back because they were like, we don't want to deal with this BS anymore. So, but yeah, if you want to check out the live stream, I'll put a little link in the description. I don't know. I think these are hilarious. I've seen these type of live streams elsewhere on the internet. Like there's one, I can't remember what it's called. It's like grass.com or something like that, where a guy he has a live stream of his grass growing consistently. It's super weird. But I don't know. I think I think it's hilarious that people are doing this. There's another guy. He has what's that website? Paintdrying.com or something like that. Where he just paints over this wall and you can just like watch the paint dry. It's just like I don't know, these super nonsensical freaking live streams. But I don't know. I love them.
One. They have a camera pointed at a goldfish, and I want to say it plays Pokemon.
Oh no.
I'm trying to find it real quick, but like it basically if it goes in a certain like direction of the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, fish plays Pokemon. It's on Twitch, and you can just watch it, and wherever the fish moves.
What like how long has this been around? How long has that fish been alive?
I know it started around I think 2014 is when the fish started doing it. I don't know if it's the same fish now, but.
Oh no. That's pretty funny.
Apparently there was 20,000 people watching it at one time.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, that grass website is watching-grass-growing.com. It's just a live stream of this guy's lawn. Uh, he gives like the humidity, the temperature, how tall the grass is. Like it's just this dude growing his grass. And then he says, "Watch me mow the lawn in 4K." Oh wow. Oh my goodness, that's pretty funny. Oh, the icon is even a little lawnmower. That's cute. But I don't know. I love these things on the internet. Like this is some of the things that I love about the internet. Just people being freaking weird, just doing their own thing, and I don't know. I think that's hilarious. But anyway, well, if that's all you got, I think we'll end it there.
Yeah. Remember, if y'all in Chicago, hit me up. Lil John.
Oh my goodness. All right, yep, for that reason I'm out. All right, we'll see all you later. Bye.
Bye.